Today's video is about Icebreaker. Icebreaker makes merino wool clothing. Now, you're probably asking yourself, has Scott got completely nuts? Who carries wool clothing in the summertime? He has gone nuts, but not because of this. Merino wool is a great material year-round, and I'll tell you why. Merino wool comes from the merino sheep. Merino sheep graze in the highlands up in the southern Alps of New Zealand. And in the southern Alps of New Zealand, they experience extremely cold temperatures as well as extremely hot temperatures. So one of the guys who created Icebreaker said to himself, well, if the sheep are able to endure the extreme cold and the extreme hot wearing the same material, shouldn't we as humans be able to do that too? Well, he's right. We just need a thinner coat of it in the summertime, just like the sheep. So back in the wintertime, we were carrying some stuff from merino in the 250 and the 280 weights. And it did very well for us, so we decided to bring it back in the summertime. In the summertime, though, we're carrying the 150 weight, which is a lot closer to the thickness of the coat that the merino sheep will wear in the summertime. We're still carrying their socks, which are great, but we're also bringing in a couple summer tops for men and women. Three of the great things about merino wool, first of all, it's a 100% renewable resource, so unlike everything else we carry, which, don't get me wrong, is completely awesome, and you should buy every single color of it in your size, but the merino wool is just a little bit nicer because it's a renewable resource, so it's 100% sustainable. So as long as there are merino sheep on this earth, there will always be merino wool. That's great, right? One day we'll run out of the petroleum that makes up all the synthetic fiber garments. Second thing is it's antimicrobial, which basically means it's not going to stink. So, our tech clothing will tend to stink over time just because we're sweating so much in it. So like with the synthetic stuff, it's good to use Sport Wash, which is a non-animal based detergent. It won't block up the channels like animal fat detergents will. But, and you can wash your merino wool and that stuff as well as the synthetics. But in between washes, the synthetic stuff is going to tend to stink a little bit more than the merino wool will. I'm testing this out right now. I'm going to wear a merino wool top for 20 runs, and I'm going to wear a synthetic top for 20 runs. I'm only on day 3, and already the merino wool is just kicking butt. The synthetic smells awful. It's going to be hard to put on by like day 17 or 18. Anyway, and then lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about why we're carrying Icebreaker. So, a lot of people are familiar with Smartwool, which is a very popular company. Icebreaker globally does a lot better. It's just that it hasn't taken on here in the States the way it has in a lot of the other countries throughout the world. So unlike Smartwool, one of the things that Icebreaker takes a stance on is being very ethically conscious. Okay? So ethically conscious means a few different things. They've got standards and codes of conduct for all their sheep growers, or for all their wool growers. One of the things that's kind of neat is they have a BA code. It's BAA, just like a sheep's BA, but kind of like a barcode. Each one of them has their own individual BA code, which you can type into the website and figure out where the garment came from. So like this one, I just looked up online, has BA code BF2AFA828. When I looked that up, it narrowed it down to 3 different stations that it came from. The Irishman Creek Station, the Middlehurst Station, and the Walter Peak Station. So that's where this garment came from, 3 different places. And you can actually watch a video and hear a little bit from the farmers who grow that material. So that's kind of neat. Another thing is they'll take a stance on mulesing. Mulesing is a procedure wherein a lot of fecal matter will get trapped in the wool around the sheep and tend to damage it. So a lot of merino wool farmers will actually trim down the skin and cut into the sheep to keep that from happening. Icebreaker's taking a stance on that. They just said, forget it, we'll waste that portion of the wool, it's not a big deal. Let's be a little bit more ethically kind to these sheep who are producing so much merino wool for us. Let's give back a little bit. Also, they make their contracts 7 years out. So they make sure that their farmers follow these codes of conduct and have money to operate, and it makes sense to them to follow these codes of conduct. So we're carrying a couple different pieces. This is for the women. We've also got a tank version of it. They're a little higher priced than a lot of synthetic stuff for obvious reasons, just because it's a little harder to make and it's a little higher quality product. And then this piece for the men. So you got to stop in sometime soon, try it out, see how it feels.